Welcome to POSTCAST after the Jazz lose their 8th straight on the road. They're 12th in their last 13. Maybe their 9th straight on the road, actually. I can't count. This game was quite a game. Jazz led 27-24 at the end of one. Then they really just didn't play defense for the final 4 minutes of the second quarter and never started playing it again, unfortunately. They trailed 53-52 at the half. They had a great offensive. I mean, the game in the offensive third quarter was incredible. Back and forth, back and forth. But then all of a sudden, the Jazz missed a few shots. It started to come unraveled, and they couldn't stop it. And the story of the night, which is probably the story of this road losing woe, is this team's just complete inability to change the curb of a way a game is going right now. They just cannot stop the bleeding, and it becomes that they need a tourniquet, and then they're in for really major open heart surgery, and next thing you know, they're flatlining, and they turned a 67-67 game where it's close going back and forth. They missed a few shots, and next thing you know, it was a 32-10 run, and you made a great point in the broadcast. The Jazz call a timeout, and they come out and run a perfectly executed play. Randy Foye hits the jumper, and you're like, okay, that's exactly what you're supposed to do, but it doesn't stop. Yeah. It just keeps going.
On the defensive end, they just couldn't get it done. I mean, obviously the Mavericks have been playing very well as of late. They've been shooting the basketball very well as of late. What did I say? 8 of the last 12, they shot over 50% from the field, and on that side of the ball, they're getting the job done. But I didn't think they were doing anything special to keep the Jazz from defending. They were just simple pick and roll, something they've seen all season long that they have not been able that had problems with. And the big part of that is the fact that when they run the pick and roll, they were able to get in the paint, turn the corner, and this is something they worked on this morning. I'm wanting those players to take a wider turn so you can recover, because they were supposed to go underneath the screen to where they can keep them from getting into the paint.
So that's really get X's and O's. This is pretty incredible. They were supposed to go under the pick. The big was supposed to come out, alter the route of the ball carrier, let the guy go under. Yeah. Instead, for most of the night, what we saw was the guard trailing and the big staying glued to their man.
The big was not supposed to stay glued. They were supposed to zone the area. That means keeping, if it's Dirk setting the pick, they zone the area, but they're keeping Dirk man-u ball, where they can see the ball and see Dirk, and then give your teammate a chance to recover, and then you go out and defend Dirk. But they're following over the top. Now, whether they changed it during the course of the basketball game for some reason, I don't know. But it just didn't work.
And they might have, because Darren Collison caused them some problems, and Mike James ended up having. So they may have made a change at some point in the game. The other thing that just jumps out, and by the way, I'm going to point out that my chair is actually smaller than Ron's, but he is this much bigger than I am. It just looks worse tonight than usual. The other thing that's interesting, and this really, to me, is the story of the whole season. The story of tonight and where this team is right now is just this total inability to stop a surge from the other team. But the other one is tonight, the defense isn't very good, so he brings in Favors. And then Favors tries to go one-on-one on Nowitzki on 3 plays and gets nothing, which is where the Jazz were getting a lot of the offense, was taking advantage of Nowitzki. And it's this quandary that has existed all year long, that you have either this really good offensive team or this really good defensive team. And frankly, when they ever try to mix the two, it kind of goes opposite. They become only okay offensively and only okay defensively, and often that team's actually less good. I don't know if there is this mix and match somewhere in this group of 13 that is the correct match. We haven't found it yet 70 games into the season, and I guess I got to say it's 70 games into the season. I'm beginning to be a little doubtful of whether there is a group that you can put out there that's both good offensively and good defensively.
And I totally agree with you, and I was thinking about that during the course of the basketball game. That was the reason I went back and looked through my book, because I was looking at some of the scores that the Jazz have put up and what they're giving up. True enough, they've lost some ball games, but defensively they haven't been as bad as they have been here in the last 2 ball games. Now the offense has picked up. Tonight was the first time the Jazz have shot over 50% in 5 games, and I think that was against Detroit. So they end up getting that done, and on the defensive end they start to struggle. So the problem that Coach Corbin has right now is trying to this offense going, but also trying to defend there as well. And how to do it, he hasn't figured it out, and we haven't figured it out up here either. But it's a problem that he has, and hopefully, they can. I don't know.
Well, they've got a very, we talked about all year long. There were 2 days you had to survive to. One was that January day, we had to get out of Detroit and still be alive. We were 500 on that day. And today was the other one. If you could get to here alive, you had a real chance with the remaining schedule. Now, we're still alive. Not great, but we're not playing well enough to suddenly believe that you're going to go link 10 out of 12 like the schedule allows you to. And the question is whether or not somehow the last two performances, which frankly you're not going to win very often in San Antonio, in Dallas, even if you're playing well, have actually turned some corner where they're playing better than we realize, and that this is something different in the last two games than the conglomeration of these 9 road losses in a row and 12 of the last 13.
Well, the thing here for the rest of the year, and we see what they're doing offensively, and obviously we like what they're doing offensively. They're pushing the ball to the floor, and they're getting some good shots. They shot over 50% from the field tonight. And I just think that everyone's getting involved. Now, defensively, they're going to have to work on some things here in order to survive this playoffs. Now, the question, I think, here is will a team under 500 end up making the playoffs, and how much help can the Jazz get in order to make the playoffs? If you look at the other schedules of some of the other teams, it's a possibility that you might make the playoffs playing 500 basketball. And
maybe. I think you got to get to. I think you got to get to 44.
13 games left, and you think it's going to be that many? I really don't think it's going to be 44.
44 would mean we go 10-0 the rest of the way. So so you get to 43, go 9-1. We have 12 games left though, so something's wrong with that.
It's.
I don't know. Who knows?
But
tip of the hat.
Bottom line is they're going to need help.
Tip of the hat to Ennis Cantor. He played great tonight.
Tip of the hat on Cantor. He's really picked this game up, and the improvement it just continues all season long. He just goes out there. He gives you 110, 120%. If there is such a thing, but he gives it everything he has out there, and he plays very, very hard, and his number says that.
That wraps us up. Bottom line is this team's going to have to figure out a way to quell other teams' runs. And they don't have the confidence right now necessarily to do that, so they're going to have to find the answer to that. And that's going to be the story of the next, I think it's 12 games. But my math is not good. We'll leave on that.
34 and 36.
Yes, it's 12. Yeah. Have a good night. Be safe.